What does it mean to you to be the best?
And my players hear this from me all the time. It's if you're going to do something, do it right. And pretty much that simple thought process, whether it's school, whether any other things that you have in life, obviously it pertains to what we do on the softball field day in and day out as well, and working out and putting extra time and effort in. So if you're going to be a part of this softball program, let's make sure we do it the right way and kind of go above and beyond maybe what anybody else is doing. And you're only going to do something if you are preparing at the highest level and the very best that you possibly can. So we're just trying to put the best season together that we possibly can, and hopefully go about our business the right way in the best way that we can, the results are going to show for themselves. And common thing that's always said, control what you can control and all those different things. The main thing that we can control is how we go about our business and try just to absolutely do things the right way. Like if we're going to do it, let's look back and have any shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and let's just really go at it and attack it and see where it takes us.
Can you give us an example of perhaps a former player, whether it was injury, any sort of adversity, that she had a very promising, perhaps athletic potential or future, and how she came out of it using the lessons that you teach, made you proud beyond a coach, and that kind of just brought, we are doing this right. Is there a specific player that comes into mind or a situation that really just opened up your eyes and forced those core values for you?
Yeah, I would say you coach long enough, you're going to have to deal and experience player injury and them having to get through it. And it's, I was on the phone with a mom this morning. One of our seniors just had shoulder labrum surgery. She was in one of our last practices heading up to our fall game before games and dove for a ball and shoulder dug in the ground a little too much and popped out. And 6 anchors later in her shoulder with her labrum. She's just had that surgery last week, and it's tough. I mean, she's a happy-go-lucky kid. Everybody loves her, and to have her in the office, with us this past week, before going into surgery and hearing the timetables and all those different things, the happy-go-lucky kid turned to eyes tearing. Senior. She's been a very good role player for us, but hasn't been an everyday starter. And this season sees her moving into that direction. And to have that happen, it's obviously really challenging, but she's going to attack it full steam ahead and very optimistic, very positive. And, news is news, and it's tough to swallow at certain times. And she's going to have some other challenging days ahead. We're going to be there for her. Her teammates have been there for her and been phenomenal, kind of being her caretakers. Mom's up in New Jersey, so she can't be down here all the time. I've had that communication with her and having some of those reassurances. But that's just the most recent. We definitely have had some players who are very impactful, talent-wise and production-wise on the field, that were phenomenal teammates. One that always stands out to me, named Sabrina Hill. She actually just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, Senior Hall of Fame, this past year. And she, midway through her sophomore year, tore her ACL. And usually that's a injury. And she's just a different kid, mentally, physically, one of the biggest, strongest kids I've ever coached here. She was hang cleaning at the time like 275, which is ridiculous. 6 foot tall, could hit the ball through her feet at the Division III levels, not very common. But the amazing thing about her was she played the rest of that year on a torn ACL. She only missed a couple games, got the swelling down, strengthened up, and wasn't her talented self, but was still an All-American that year. And did not want to have surgery. She played her junior year with a torn ACL. And finally, it was enough to where after her junior year, she went ahead and had surgery at the end of that season. And she came back in 6 months and played her senior year and didn't miss a game, didn't miss a practice. Just still dumbfounds me to this day. Things are a little bit different now, how trainers, even if a kid maybe is physically and mentally able to, no, it's an ACL, you're out, you got surgery. We'll see in about 9 months whenever you can get back. She finished up with us in 2014 was her last year. So things are even a little bit different here as far as how people approached ACLs compared to now. Talking about work ethic, grinding everything out. And her, when she first got back and with the torn ACL, I mean, she was still hang cleaning up like the 245, 250 pounds. That's right. But she I think only missed a couple of games from her middle of the sophomore year through junior through senior year. She holds some records with us, but I think she's one if completely healthy, because I mean, it did limit her a little bit. Obviously there's some things she was actually really, really well too. So we had to, let's go a little bit station to station here. We're not going to push you to extend some bases here and there. Limited her stolen base attempts, and it did limit her explosiveness a little bit at the plate. I mean, I firmly feel she would have set some NCAA softball Division III records power wise, because she was just a freak athlete, that best athlete, and several time All-American. She could hit the low outside tee from home plate and hit it 240, 50 feet, which is crazy. And I've had some pretty power hitters, and they can, but not 40, 50 feet over the fence. Oppo. So, yeah, that's pretty much my go-to, my big standout. That, was she comfortable? Was she dealing with pain all the time? A little instability here and there, but continue just to keep it strong, strength. And, like I said, I only had to kind of have surgery after her junior year. But it's carried over in her life. She's dentist assistant now. She went and did some additional schooling with that and got married. Been about 4-year-old girl and going strong.
Good stuff.
Habits. How do you take some of the lessons from the game and relate them to? So what would you say is like an example of a core value you've learned from the game that helps you in life to become the best person that you could be?
I think the biggest thing, if anybody's going on family, whatever it may be, it's the teammate aspect of it and being able to work well with others. And, as a coach, you have to work with your fellow coaches and your administration and support staff. So being able to have all those different aspects as a player, you have to have those particular relationships with those, some of the support staff. They have to be directly involved with, like an athletic, whether it's somebody, whoever's, covering social media aspects of it and the video content, that's, whatever it is day to day. But more importantly, there are friendships and relationships that they build and have to coexist with 20 or other student athletes on the team on a regular and day-to-day basis, and know how to go about that the right way, and knowing how important those aspects of it are. No different if you and have to basically get acclimated with people that you've never been around, who are also competitive and have different personalities. So I think going from being a student athlete and going into whatever career choice or whatever they're going in, and also does carry over to family too. So understanding just how to, no pun intended, but be the best version of yourself all the time around those around you, and understanding how you carry yourself as a person, how much it affects those, how much of a positive influence you can be, or how much of a detriment you can be to people's days, and carries over season 2. And that's something our team did above and beyond any team that I think I've even had, is there was zero drama. They got along so great. And it was one of those, as a coach, you're kind of waiting, okay, when's one of the wheels going to fall off? Like, when's that going to happen? When's the chink in the armor going to take place? And it never did. It got better and better and better. That's what you have to do. Any company, business, anything like that, if everybody's moving in the same direction, the success and are going to take care of themselves. And that's something that they were able to see it, and it's carried over into this year's team. We had 7 seniors last year, but that culture, that team last year was able to cultivate, and I'm not going to take a ton of credit for it, because I've tried to do that every single year. And sometimes you just have a couple of those players and a couple of instances that happen, that kind of get you off track just that little bit. And, they've done such a good job this fall understanding and seeing how it's supposed to look. Want that to remain the case. And it's been fun. That's something, I think the biggest thing is, how that carries over into life. Obviously you can talk about time management, work ethic, all those different things, but I think that's one of the biggest aspects that, I would say it's kind of that top of the pyramid.
Is how do you inspire heads of organizations, head travel coaches or high schools to dedicated to the journey and the craft of getting better as a person, and that perhaps are struggling to connect with the players or the parents, but that are 100% committed? How do you inspire them to invite them to be the best, so that they can spread an invite to the journey of this is what it means to figuring it out together. And you spoke a lot about being able to coexist as a whole, inspire those individuals that do it solely for the purpose of getting better, and to let them know that it's okay to not have it figured out as long as we're in this together.
That's one thing I think all coaches have to do a better job of, including myself. As far as if everybody did such a phenomenal job with it, with local little leagues, local travel coaches, and really try to bring them along at a higher level to help, the 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds from the start. That would be so much more impactful. But try to do a lot of things. We actually had some local little league clinics yesterday. Me and 6 of my players went out and did a session with the younger group, session with the older group, and a lot of them are very novice as far as their knowledge of the game, and their skill levels are obviously going to completely vary. And what I kind of talked to with the head of the little league organization, who kind of helped get together, and like full fall little league season, they just wrapped up, and we're trying to work with them on how to approach the ground ball that they couldn't do, and they should have worked on that. They should have worked on those basics and those fundamentals, and made sure at the very least some of the fundamentals that we worked over and worked on that they can work on during the wintertime. Like, I wanted to progress further with them, but they were still stuck at the 1+1. And like, that shouldn't be the case. Not after they've games for 2 months. They shouldn't know. I mean, some of them didn't know if they're right-handed or left-handed. They didn't know, like, if they needed as they walk into a ground ball, that if they're right-handed, they go right, left into the ground ball, like when a ball hit to them, like something so fundamentally that, or even how to hold a bat correctly. When we got into hitting, that was a little bit of and working with them on some of those basics, our local little league and our players too, that we have our summer, and we do those things, but those players over the course of a 3-day little summer camp, then are they going to continue to work on it? Are they going to continue to put the time in? And that's part of what are they coming home to every day, as far as their parents and who's kind of helping them, go out to the backyard or the local field, whatever it may be. But when they have out there with them and they have practices, games, like those things should have, aspects that are reinforced to them. Something with our coaches that are in the area that are volunteering their time, obviously, or the moms and the dads or the, whatever family members been helping coach those teams to figure out, one, make sure they know the basics and can teach the basics and the fundamentals, because that's what those kids need first and foremost, and how to kind of go about doing it. And we all get caught up in our seasons, and spring we're practicing, and but one big thing that I told them is, like, come out to our practices, which are always, make sure people are aware of it, but they don't. But you can lead a horse to water, but they don't do it. They don't take the extra initiative. And something that I've told people for years, like, come to our games, come check out a practice. It's cold outside. We've got a press box with heat. Go sit in the press box. Don't make an excuse. But I made sure all the parents and coaches that were there yesterday, like, reach out to me if you're unsure if we're practicing that day, especially on the weekend. Email me. I'll let you know what time we're practicing. Come by and check something. The convention that y'all have put all those speakers, like, why wouldn't you want to go down there? Even if you're a volunteer coach in Little League, go down there and learn something to pass along. If you're going to dedicate your time and effort into doing that, why aren't you trying to learn from some of the best that do it and implement that for the youth in our area? If you're going to put the title of coach on your head, on your shirt, a lot of the Little Leagues, they have coach real big on the back of their t-shirt, or coach whatever on the front. Like, if you're going to put that title on, you've got to develop those kids and do it the right way. And I'm not out there at their practices to see what's going on. I always know that a lot of the Little League practices, it's one person maybe hitting in the ball and 10 little girls staying around while one person's fielding the ball, or one person hitting on the tee and the rest of them are very, very unproductive practices with little instruction going on. So we're going to have to do more on our side, at least in our area. But obviously I can't do anything but so much outside of our area. And that's where a lot of coaches that do have knowledge in the areas, or some of the better coaches in the areas, need to step up and put more of their time and effort in, with those that are volunteering. I've always said, and I'll finish with this, I've always said that, like, Little League needs a template. This is what you need to do for this age group. This is what you need to, these are things you need to focus on. These are the drills and how you need to break down your practices, and have coaches kind of come together and put a really sound, solid template together. Not that it has to be, ran exactly, but there's no guidance. It's like everybody goes with what they feel is right. And that's, I've always thought that would be a best way to go, that this is how you need to teach this. This is when you need to teach this. And make sure this is happening before you move on to this. And it's obviously it's pretty poor in a lot of areas as far as it just depends on who steps up and volunteers. It's commendable for those that step up and volunteer. If you're going to do it, the best level that you can for those kids, and it just doesn't happen all the time. Definitely looking forward to it. I'll word it this way. If you want to get better as a coach and you want to increase your knowledge to be able to pass along and develop young players, you have to come to clinics like this. You have to come listen to other coaches that have kind of been there and done it. I'm going to be there listening just as much as anybody else that's attending and trying to learn and make myself a better coach. So I definitely would urge anybody to be able to do that and take the time, make sure with what you're stepping up to the plate with every single day, that you're being able to pass that knowledge on to your players that play for you and make them the best.